Hey, it's Ryan Conrad, and today on Money and Margaritas, wait, this is a coffee cup. There's margarita in there. We're going to talk about whether or not buying coffee is keeping you from building wealth. A lot of times you hear people, saying, don't buy Starbucks, and you're spending too much on coffee, and so we're going to kind of just talk about whether or not coffee is really stopping you from building wealth. So one of my pet peeves with salespeople is whenever they're trying to sell you a product or a service or something like that, they always use this phrase. They always say the same thing, and I don't think it's a good sales tactic. I really think people should rethink their sales tactics. But they always say, for
only a cup of coffee a day, or
for only, maybe they use pizza or whatever it is, but they use these things that people really enjoy and like, more than probably the product that they're looking at purchasing. And I just don't think that the coffee is the greatest attack for a salesperson. I think it's a terrible sales tactic, but I don't think that coffee actually is stopping you from building wealth. All right, so looking back at our debt-free journey, us personally, when we were really getting serious about our finances, we did actually decide to cut down on the coffee. I didn't go out every day. I did find kind of a healthy balance, but I did like coffee. And so one way that I found to reduce my costs was I personally did go out and buy cheaper coffee. I would go to like 7-Eleven or just a local convenience store where you can get a coffee for just over $1. So you don't always have to go buy the brand name coffee and spend $5-6. So if you are really focused on debt, which we definitely were when we first started our debt-free journey, you definitely can cut down on your amount of coffee or the quality of coffee. Some people do decide to make coffee at home. Some people just have to have, their brand name coffee. And so you can decide how much coffee you want. But so one of the nice things about a budget is you get to choose personally what is most important to you. Everything that you value is going to look a little bit different than what I value. And coffee, for some people, isn't very important. That might be an easy area for you to cut from your spending. And if you are buying coffee, $5 coffees 20 times per month, that does add up to, a pretty substantial amount, but it's not as substantial as many other things. For example, if you're getting rid of your, car payments, that's if that's $500 per month, that's going to be much more substantial than giving up your coffee. If you could find a place to live that is smaller or a little bit outside of town and you can save $400 or $500 on your housing expenses, that to me is a larger portion of most people's budgets than enjoying a cup of coffee on occasion. So I personally just don't feel that coffee is the biggest burden on people's budgets, but it's something that you should look at anyway. So pocket money is nice because when you give yourself a set amount of money each month, you're basically saying that this is the portion of money that I can spend on anything that I want. And so, again, when you value different things than I do, you might love reading books. And so Alma, as a great example of that, she loves reading books. And even when we were tackling debt, she still wanted to read books. And so she found on Kindle, she found free books, and she found very low-cost books. Some deals on Kindle, maybe they have like a series of three books. They might give you the first one for free, and then they're hoping that you buy the second or third. And you can decide if the second and third are worth your money. But again, having a little bit of pocket money set aside, is helpful to have that guilt-free spending. So when I do buy my coffee, I'm able to buy it from the set amount of money that we give each other each month, so that I can enjoy my coffee, but also not feel guilty as if we are spending from a different category, like savings or anything like that. I mean, this category is meant for anything that I want that I feel is important. So that could be motorcycle stuff, it could be coffee. And so I do think that having pocket money is important. I will tell you that when we were in our debt-free journey, Alma and I didn't have a lot of needs, and because we did kind of cut down on the coffee, and I did find that I was okay with a cheap $1 or $2 coffee, we didn't have as much pocket money when we were in debt. But we got out of debt in 13 months, so it was a short period of time to stay really strongly focused and dedicated to our budget, and we could then get out of debt, and then that's when we did transition to a little bit more pocket money than when we were in debt. One great tip that I have shared with you guys before on Instagram, but I'll share it here as well, is our food budget. What we found is that we set, let's say your food budget's $80. And we would basically, because we were boyfriend and girlfriend, we would split. 1 week would be Alma's, and the next week would be mine. And so what we found is when we went grocery shopping, we just spent the full 80 every time. Because if it was her week, I wanted to make sure we spent right up to the 80 and we got as much food as we could. And when it was my week, she did the same thing. She wanted to make sure I spent the full 80. At some point, we sat down and we talked about it, and we found out that it was probably a good idea to incentivize being more frugal at the grocery store. And the way that we did that was by saying, hey, look, if we spend less than $80, we get to split the difference as pocket money. And since we were in debt at that time and we weren't really receiving much for pocket money, if anything, I really don't remember getting anything for pocket money, this was a little treat. And what it did is it made us, when we were in the grocery store, look for ways to save money. And the next thing you know, we were spending less than budgeted. And so if we spent $60, we were able to both get $10 each. And then we were all excited because we both had $10 to spend on coffee or books and those sorts of things. So I think that's an important little tip, and I hope that you appreciate that. So basically, just be a little bit more forgiving on yourself on whatever category is your coffee. If you're not a coffee drinker, maybe you have something else that is $50, $60 per month, and you feel that it's very important. You know what? Don't beat yourself up over that amount of money for your budget. Try to look at the bigger picture and find other ways to save money. Maybe there's another area that you've missed in your budget that you can cut out, but I just don't think that coffee or your version of coffee, whatever that might look like, is that big of a deal. So I believe that income is very important. I believe that the housing expense, the cars, and those kinds of things can play a much bigger role, let alone your grocery bill. Saving money on your groceries and finding a way to be more frugal, less snacks, less, sodas, and all the kind of things that maybe you don't need in your grocery bill might actually add up to a much larger number than enjoying a cup of coffee every once in a while, or even a few times a week. So just enjoy yourself on this journey. If coffee really makes you happy, don't feel bad about it. Enjoy it, be aware of it, and be conscious of it, and just treat yourself on occasion. Not everyone has the same journey that we had. Some of these journeys are really long, and it's going to take a little bit more motivation and more drive to push you through that journey. So just don't be so hard on yourself to basically not have any fun in any area of your budget. So don't worry about the coffee or the margaritas, and just enjoy life while you're on that journey. So I appreciate you tuning in to Money and Margaritas, and again, I really appreciate everybody coming to the YouTube channel. If you enjoyed this video, comment below if you've got something you really love or something that you haven't been really willing to give up. Comment below what that is. I'm curious. And if you have any other topics that you'd like me to do, comment that below as well, and subscribe to my channel for more videos to come.